Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Mekorama. This is another Ratalaika port that I missed when it originally came out. I've been giving it a little bit of a play. I got through a quarter of the levels before a couple of these levels decided they just kind of wanted to piss me off. We're actually going to go back and play a couple of the more clever levels and then see how they interperson with a couple of the more bullshit levels. And I'll show you, they'll basically show you why I both like and dislike this game. So, this is, well, I'm going to be out and out with it. I'm not going to claim to be 100% sure of this myself, but I have seen gameplay of Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, and this basically just feels like a rip on that concept. But I've never actually played Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, so that's fine. So we're just going to play it anyway. So this game is pretty simple. You got your levels to select here. There are also options, but you got to go all the way to the last page to get to them. Free camera is interesting because there are certain angles that you might want to be on, but at the same time, having the camera be free actually helps you see some of the more complex puzzles and how they work. It's also nice being able to turn hints on and off, but it seems like by the time you get past the first set of levels, which is the easy levels, the game decides that it doesn't want to give you hints anymore, even if you really, really need them. So, you know, screw you, two fingers in your general direction. With that said, let's actually boot up a level. Notably, really quick loading times. That's actually kind of nice. Also, the performance is good. That will not last. So, this is Mekorama, and it's really simple. This is your friend. You need to get your friend to the end. If there is a story, I am unaware of it because they have not presented me with one. So the idea is you can move with the analog stick or the D-pad. The D-pad moves way too fast, by the way. This is not reasonable if you expect a player to play the game entirely through the D-pad. You use the L and the R button to control your view of the world itself. And you use the X button to control the height of your particular things. Or, well, in particular, it's your interaction button. You interact with things by holding the X button, and you can also use it to guide your little friend out of whatever danger he may be in. So the idea is, you need to navigate the world and all of its terrors, and you need to send your friend from one end to the other. It really is quite a simple concept, and to be fair, in these beginner levels, it actually works pretty well. It's kind of let down by a couple of things though, and the first thing is the oversensitive controls. It can be really difficult to get a handle on these because of how sensitive the general movement of the analog sticks and the D-pad is, and especially since you might need to do something like rotate in order to get a good view of whatever it is you're trying to manipulate, you might end up doing something like sending it way off the way. The controls are just a little bit oversensitive. You can also play this game on the touchscreen, but I found the touchscreen to be the most unreliable control facet of them all, just because of how small everything can be on the Vita screen, and not to mention the just because of how small everything can be on the Vita screen, not to mention you have to do very specific movements in order to actually get everything done. And when it gets to the more action-oriented stages that you have to play through very slowly, this can turn out to be a bit of a pain in the neck. So if you're like me and you're not particularly good with oversensitive controls, I'd recommend playing on the analog stick, because the analog stick just is the most precise control method, despite the fact that not all of this is a very precise control method at all. I'm just saying it's the best you're gonna get. The game itself is very simple though, and it's actually that's actually something I appreciate. So you have the levels are all pretty well thought out, if I'm being perfectly honest, at least during the beginner levels. We'll get to the later levels very shortly, where your goals are very clear and obvious. The obstacles that you need to deal with are easy to figure out on first sight, and moving around them is more than simple enough. But then we get to levels like this one, Factory Run, where you have moving objects and you have to try and dodge between them. especially in situations like this. Now, you might be able to see this better than I can, but on a Vita OLED, those, like, the first, the third, and the fifth little column things that they've got going on there, those are almost invisible on a Vita OLED screen. So good luck trying to avoid them without basically having to rely on where the like brighter ones are. That feels like absolute bullshit. Like even on this angle here, it's not great. The game is designed to make it so that it freezes on like isometric angles like this one, and this one when you don't have free camera turned on. But then you'll need free camera in order to get a better eye on something else. So free camera ends up being an absolute necessity in some puzzles. Then you get puzzles like this, where you have to time your movements very correctly alongside these things. Because, see, that mistake I just made right there has thrown me off the level, and now I have no choice to restart and play through that entire thing again. Trying to be precise with these controls is like getting kicked in the nutsack and then trying to put a jigsaw piece together. And then every 2 minutes, a guy picking you up and kicking you in the nutsack again. Because using this oversensitive analog stick, plus this very slow movement where you have to go a grid at a time in order to like avoid these things, means that you end up in a position where you find yourself having a lot of trouble controlling when you want to go. So you end up doing something like, as you can see, the game's actually got some pretty decent pathfinding where if you can get straight to the end, it'll send you straight there if you press the X button. But in cases like this, where you want to try and get past things like that, I usually resort to hammering the X button, and then when the pathfinding sees the opportunity to let me through, it'll let me straight through. And I find myself relying on that a lot more often than I really should, because trying to actually be precise with these controls on these kinds of time-limited challenges is nightmarish. And if they're willing to throw one of these challenges at you right away in the first set of levels, you can't help but think to yourself, like, what are they going to do next? So let's move on to the medium levels. Now, that level up there in the top left, I actually liked a lot because that one is tricky. That one's a really clever little concept. You need to figure out the puzzle, but the puzzle itself is actually quite natural. And once you get the little trick behind it, it's like, oh, I get it. That makes me feel clever. Here's what doesn't make you feel clever. Magical number 7. Now, you might have noticed something about the way the level faded in there. How it was a little weird. So, before I move the camera, you want to guess what the problem is. I'll give you a clue. It's a Ratalaika port. Have you got your guess, children? Here is what the problem is. You can hear the engine struggling under the weight of the game. Holy shit. It even affects the cursor, so it moves way slower than it's supposed to. It is intolerable, especially on a puzzle like this, because you need to hit these switches in a certain way, because it raises and lowers parts of these blocks. So you get to sit here and watch these blocks get raised and lowered in some way, somehow. And I legitimately don't understand this puzzle, because I sat here moving these like little blocks back and forth for 5 minutes just trying to get the first one to come up, because there seems like a pretty easy way to solve this puzzle. Get on the first block, because you can't jump down, ride it down to the floor, walk all the way to the last block, hop on it, and then try and get that last block up, but I can't even get that to happen. So this is a puzzle that just seems to rely entirely on guesswork, with a cursor that is so laggy and unpleasant to control. Oh look, I actually managed to get it up. What fucking luck. But this relies on a cursor that's so unpleasant to control that I find myself just thinking to myself, how did this get through testing? Who would legitimately put a puzzle like this through testing and say, you know what, this is okay, print it. Let's not try and optimize this in any way we possibly can. Let's not maybe like hide the inner machinations of the puzzle, or maybe change it so that we don't have to draw the bottom half and maybe save a little bit of like processing power. Nope, you can't do that. You're just stuck with like this really, really slow and unengaging puzzle where you have to try and find the right way up. And I don't get it. Like, look, none of the blocks are even rising for me anymore. I don't know what I did to break this puzzle. Or it's possible that I'm just, like, extending the wrong blocks, but... like, if I look around, you can't see anything related to this puzzle going on anywhere except for those switches. And even then, the switches don't really tell you what you're doing wrong. So, as far as I can tell, I've broken this puzzle and I have to go play another one. Because fuck me, I suppose. And then you've got puzzles like this one. So here's the drill. This is mirror image, and I don't understand what they're going for here. But it looks like you need to be able to circle around and get to the exit button, which is right there. You can see it. But not only do I not understand how to get around to this exit button, but it relies on something that I literally can't fucking see. It's coming up nice and clear on the monitor right here, but when I look at it, like on the Vita screen itself, that darkness is just so dark that I legitimately cannot tell what's going on. And I also have to find a way to like navigate my little dude here through whatever the hell this darkness has, because a lot of the puzzles in this game rely on you going through things like doorways and hovering and pressing like your cursor over places that you can't see. And it can get really frustrating really quick trying to deal with all this shit. But then you've got a puzzle like this, which relies you on seeing things that you really can't see underneath all of this stuff here. So it's possible that like the solution to this puzzle is something simple, like just having these hooks all be the right way. But if it is, the puzzle sure isn't giving me like any like general idea that I've done the right thing or not. Like, see, I can get out to about here, but that's about as far as I can go, right? If I come over here and try and press X on that, it just won't let me. So, it's got another one of those, like, fatal flaws that a puzzle game has, where not only can I not see the solution, I can't see how the bloody hell I'm supposed to even get to it. Like, I can see a little doorway there. But how does that connect? Because I don't see anything here. I can't even see a doorway on this side. Like, sure, wander into the doorway so that it like teleports you to the next doorway. That would work as like a puzzle concept. Oh look, I've just set myself off by something I couldn't see and now I have to start the puzzle again. Because fuck me, I guess, right? So, I don't know what the hell is going on there because I can't fucking see it. So what's this puzzle got for me? Copy me, it says. Okay. I'm guessing I have to copy him exactly. So... oh, I get it. I know how this puzzle works. You have to knock the balls down in a very specific way. If you don't, they won't hit the right, like, invisible switches going on underground here, and you won't be able to actually, like, complete the puzzle. Am I right? Probably. Although, couldn't be less annoying of a actual walkway if it tried. So, down to one to the left. That knocks that one off. We go back up to the middle row. As you can see, as I said before, trying to be precise with these controls, unpleasant. Come on, was that not an exact copy of his moveset? Seriously? And I don't even get a hint, although it'd be pretty obvious what the hint is. Like, is there a door or something that's opened up? Oh, one of the columns fell down. Or was that always not there? I'm willing to bet that wasn't always there. That was always not there, I should say. One more try. So you go 2 down, and then to the left. Go back up to the middle. Go to the right. Go down 1 space. And go up 2 spaces. Walk to the right once. Then walk backwards until you hit the middle. Walk up. Walk right once. Walk back down to the middle. Walk to the left 3 times. Then walk up 1 space. I've got no idea. I'm stuck. And the game's stopped handing out hints, so... Also, you can't delete that. So I'm stuck, and I've basically got nowhere else I can go. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it at all. There are some more options that you do have. You do have the option to make levels with all of the mechanics that you have available to you, most of which you've seen. But as far as I can tell, you don't have the ability to... As far as I can tell, you don't have the ability to actually share them, so there's really no point to this. And then you've got your credits down there. So yeah, that's basically it. It's a puzzle game. Starts out cute, has some neat ideas, but eventually gets obscure as all hell, and just doesn't really seem like it's any fun anymore. Well, that's 2 out of 4 that are a bust. Let's see what the other 2 are like. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.